Good morning and welcome to Rising. We have a great show for you today. We are back with Niall Stanage.
Good to be with you, Amber.
It's been a minute.
It has. Glad to be back for our Friday conversation and dialogue and debate.
Yeah, absolutely.
How you doing?
What did you do for election night, by the way?
I was at home watching the results come in. I wasn't anywhere exciting like any campaign rallies, but I was writing about Mr. Mamdani's victory, which I may have been more enthusiastic about than I suspect you would
Yeah,
be.
probably so.
But you were in New York, though,
I
were you
was,
not?
but I was not actually covering Mamdani. I was
Right.
doing TV, so I was in and out as quickly as I could. You know, a lot of my friends joke that I took the last train out of New York.
This is terrible. I'd be taking the next train up at this stage.
All right, well, we'll get you a ticket.
Yeah.
Ahead this morning on Rising, though, trouble for flyers. More and more flights are being canceled as the government shutdown drags on.
Meanwhile, a judge has ordered ICE to improve conditions at its facility in Chicago. The latest legal battle details are coming up.
And Nancy Pelosi stepping aside after nearly 40 years in Congress. But first, we start with a major announcement from the White House yesterday.
President Trump unveiling a deal Thursday that would reduce prices for obesity treatments like Zepbound and Wegovy. Under the deal, coverage of GLP-1 drugs will expand to Medicare patients starting next year, and some lower prices will also be phased in for patients without coverage. The Trump administration also says a potential new pill version of the treatments will cost about $150 per month if they are approved.
The president made that announcement in the Oval Office, surrounded by members of his cabinet and executives from pharmaceutical giants Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk. Take a listen.
Today I'm thrilled to announce that the two world's largest pharmaceutical manufacturers, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, have agreed to offer their most popular GLP-1 weight loss drug. I call it the fat drug, remember? At drastic discounts. It's a triumph for American patients that will save lives and improve the health of millions and millions of Americans. Amazing thing.
Dr. Oz, the head of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, also touted the new drug prices, saying that it would help more Americans lose weight.
We are democratizing access to these medications and dealing with a moral imperative to make sure that all Americans have access to avoiding all the obesity-related complications by making sure they can afford, if they do things right, not just MAHA appropriate interventions, but also medications like this. Mr. President, our estimate, based on the company numbers as well, is Americans will lose 135 billion pounds by the midterms.
But those numbers didn't sit right with late night show host Stephen Colbert, who poked fun at Dr. Oz on his show last night.
I gotta say, that seems like a lot of pounds. Yvonne, let's break down those numbers. 135 billion pounds divided by approximately 343 million Americans means on average we'll each be losing 393 pounds per American. Wow. I'm gonna wear a two-piece next summer.
Meantime, President Trump is getting some criticism for something else that happened during the press conference yesterday, when one of his guests collapsed in the Oval Office. Take a look at that.
But today we... Oh, are you okay? Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
Press, we're going. Thank you, press. Press, right there. Guys, cameras, we're done rolling. Cameras.
Well, thank you very much. One of the representatives of the company said one of the companies got a little bit lightheaded. You saw he went down, and he's fine. They just sent him out. He's got doctor's care, but he's fine.
That moment led to this now viral photo, with some online slamming Trump. Democratic influencer Harry Sisson posting to X, "Someone passed out in front of Donald Trump in the Oval Office, and this is how he reacted." A photo that perfectly encapsulates who he is.
But conservatives were quick to suggest that Trump did appear to try to help at first, but the man who fell was already being attended to.
Well, I guess that's a dramatic point to perhaps start on, Amber. I mean, obviously, I hope the guy is okay. I think he did recover, right?
Yeah, he ended up being okay. There was also some criticism of RFK. Apparently, he left the room after it happened. He was going to get help, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, he fled from this guy."
He ran away.
Yeah, I think
sick man.
People were just trying to seize on whatever angle of it they could. I mean, somebody faints. It looked like maybe he locked his knees, and so he just needed to get the blood flow going again, and luckily he's doing well. Sure. But everybody's always quick to criticize an emergency.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do think, I'm not sure if we can throw the photo back up. I do think it's a very dramatic, it's a great photo. I just don't necessarily think that it doesn't necessarily say bad things about Trump. There we go. Just as an image, though, I think that's a fantastic image, just caught in the moment.
Yeah, composition-wise, it's
exactly.
very well done.
Yeah, it's very well done indeed. Thank you to our production team. We got that back on screen very fast. As far as the actual drug prices themselves are concerned, it seems to me it's a good thing. I mean, I'm frequently critical of Trump for various reasons, but reducing the prices of those drugs seems to me to be a good thing, and one with potential health benefits for quite a lot of people.
Yeah, we have a serious obesity crisis in the United States, which is no secret to anybody. One of the things that the MAHA coalition has been working on is getting rid of processed foods, removing seed oils from a lot of popular products, food dyes that may be toxic, but obviously, for most people looking at that, they say, well, that's a long-term fix, right? That's not going to help my life in the immediate. So a lot of people have gotten on these GLP-1s. I think there's millions of Americans who are currently on them, but they are very expensive. They can be thousands of dollars a month, especially if your insurance doesn't cover, which many insurance providers don't. So having those prices come down for Americans who are struggling with their weight is obviously really important. And I was talking to Sean Spicer yesterday. He was obviously press secretary during the first Trump term. And one of the things he pointed out was that there have been a lot of moves from Trump to try to reduce drug prices, most notably through the most favored nation negotiations. But the White House hasn't really hammered those points very much. They kind of make these announcements and move on. And that would have been something really helpful to bring up during these elections on Tuesday, and certainly moving ahead into the midterms as people are really worried about healthcare and affordability, that these are tangible things that make a real difference in their life. But there's been so much focus, I think, on foreign policy right now that the White House has really not driven home the point of what they're doing on domestic policy to try to make things more affordable for Americans.
Yeah, I think we'll get into the affordability issue in other ways later on. But obviously, any reduction in drug prices is very welcome. I was reading in one of the newspapers covering this, they were noting that in London, much to Trump's annoyance, the prices of these anti-obesity drugs are still cheaper in the UK than they are in the US. And the wider availability of these kinds of drugs, or any kinds of drugs, would obviously help people for whom the cost of medication is a real issue, and one that they have to budget for each month. And obviously, the more you can bring that down, the better it is. There are, I think, a couple of other drugs. I think there's an anti-migraine drug as well, and something purporting to do with insulin that's covered by this too. So any reduction in drug price is a welcome thing.
Yeah, and I think we have to consider too that when people lose weight, there are other parts of their health that get better, right? Like if you get on a GLP-1 because you have diabetes and you're having to pay for insulin each month, you have constant doctor visits, etc., you are in the long run saving a lot of money in the entire healthcare industry from people just getting healthy from a weight perspective.
Exactly. The whole prevention is better than cure kind of
Absolutely.
idea. Definitely. So Nancy Pelosi has officially announced her retirement. She did that on Thursday. We'll have how Washington is reacting next. Stay with us.